Hi, this is Cheryl from the Cut at Home Design team. Today I have a fun chipboard album for you that I want to share. This is intended to be a grandma's brag book, so I wanted an album that was going to be pretty sturdy for me. So I'm starting out with a Maya Road album. It's a chipboard album. It's a good sturdy one. It's got a binder inside, and inside there are 8 chipboard pages. You don't see the chipboard anymore because I've covered them over with beautiful graphic 45 paper. But let me show you essentially what that binder looks like. This is a little bit smaller version, but it's the same thing. So it's a little darker on the outside, very light chipboard on the inside. It's got the binder mechanism and 8 chipboard pages. So it's an easy matter of doing some measurements, adding a little paint, and you're ready to go. So first thing I needed to do was measure and cut paper to fit it. This is the interior page. The interior pages are all 6 by 6, so that's just a quick cut, a 12 by 12 piece of paper in 4. That will give me enough. That'll give me 4 sheets, 6 by 6 sheets of paper, enough to cover 2 of my interior pages, front and back. So very, very easy. I just needed to cut several more of those. I've got 8 pages, so 4 pages total I need to cut in that way. And then for the front and the back cover, I need to make some measurements here. I thought initially perhaps I could cut a piece that would extend from this edge all the way over to the edge of the spine, but I was afraid what might happen at these stress points. And so I ended up cutting a piece just for the front cover, just for the back cover, and then the spine separately. And then I used this lace here to sort of hide my joins, essentially is what it's there for. There's about a 1/4 inch gap on each side where there's a hinge, and it's very, very hard to cover and keep paper in place. So it was just easier to use the lace and move on. On the interior, you've got a similar issue around the binder mechanism. So I have some little pieces of floral at the top and bottom to sort of hide things there. I put about an inch, inch and a half of the floral on either side right after the hinge, and then started using my plaid paper. I thought it would be fun to line in the plaid as opposed to continuing to use the floral throughout the rest of it. Just something a little different, but I wanted the floral there at least a little bit to add some difference. Now before I put the paper on, I used some of the Tim Holtz Distress paint with a dabber top. What I was trying to do here was to color the edges and color about a 1/2 inch in on all of this. So where there's areas that the paper doesn't quite cover from edge to edge, instead of seeing chipboard, you're seeing essentially the antique linen color. It's more of a shabby chic look than to see the chipboard itself there. So obviously edges were that way. The tops and that sort of thing were painted. You can see that my plaid here doesn't quite come to the edge, and so again it's a way of distracting from that. It doesn't fully hide it, but it distracts from the issue. So I needed to paint everything that way, the album front and back as well as the chipboard pages, though that was important. So as soon as that paint was dry, I was ready to go to work with the paper. Now before putting the paper in place, I also had to round the corners because my outside edges are rounded on the front and back covers as well as on all the interior pages. So just before applying the paper, I made sure I rounded the proper edges to make sure everything worked out okay. Now to attach the paper to the chipboard, I used Craft Podge. Craft Podge is a newer product on the market. It is absolutely wonderful to work with. Unlike other podges, it's not that horrible thick stuff. It's actually quite thin and easy to spread. It's low odor, so the odor isn't going to drive you out of your house. You're actually going to be able to use it with very little problem. It's got a built-in brush so that you don't have to go searching for a brush or have to use it otherwise. So it's a pure pleasure to work with, I think. The only issue that you have initially starting out, and it's something that fades very, very quickly, is because of the consistency, because it's so thin, you have to figure out how to keep enough on the brush that you can spread it sufficiently on the paper, but not so much that you've got dripping going on all over the place. That's not something that's as desirable. Obviously, if it's going to drip, it may drip in the wrong place, and that would be a bad thing. But the Angel Craft Podge, just super, super great product to work with. Made this whole album just a breeze to put together. I think it took less than 3 hours to cover all of the pages and the front cover. So assembly of the album is very simple. Probably take you longer to put the pictures in. But obviously once you get the papers on and everything's dry, the podge dries pretty quickly, but you want to leave it before you start the decoration process. Leave it overnight, or at least 3 or 4 hours, just to make sure that it's fully dry. I had a few things I needed to do to fix. One is to add the lace to cover the joins here. Otherwise I would have that 1/4 inch of chipboard covered with the antique linen distress paint that I didn't want to see there. I brought the lace all the way to the inside, and it joins somewhere around the center of the binder ring so that it's not in a place that people are likely to notice. It's a consistency from front to back, and the join itself isn't too noticeable. For the front cover, I added a doily to the front. I actually podged that doily into place, and then I realized that the material was pretty light and I was feeling like I wanted a little more oomph to it. So I actually podged a second doily over the top to make it more prominent. Here the key was just making sure that it was lined up okay. I added the word baby from Marianne Designs. This is a creatable die with the word baby and just the cute little safety pin with it. I cut it from the backs of one of the sheets in the 6x6 Precious Memories Graphic 45 paper pads. I wanted a matchy color, and this sort of pretty corally pink peach, whatever it is just kind of difficult to match right now. So that was my easiest solution for finding a matching paper, and it worked quite well. These little flowers that I added are from Petaloo, along with the little pearl buds here at the side. These are in a pink color, and fortunately they're a pretty good match to the corals that are going on here. My ribbon at the side is a 1.5 inch May Arts ribbon. It's a sheer ribbon, very, very lightweight, very soft. I love that sort of look and the feel of the softer ribbon on an album like this. I finished it off by adding my Erode trinket pin, the little heart here. It's a stick pin, so you've got to worry about the little point down at the end. I just added one of the clear earring backs down here so that it's less likely to poke someone in the finger. Let me take a minute and show you how I did the ribbon for this. Actually, the ribbon that I used here is a white ribbon, and you can see that it's no longer white. So how did I get it this color? The color it is actually antique linen. I used my antique linen distress ink pad to color my ribbon. I'm going to show you on a little bit narrower May Arts sheer ribbon, as well as with a darker color of ink, just so you can see the process easier. You need a piece of scratch paper, a piece of ribbon, a little bit longer than what you'll need for your project. Again, I'm using distress ink here, but there are many other ink pads that would work. I'm going to be mindful of the fact that my ink pad is right here in the center, that it's, about 1/4 inch away from the outside edges. So when you lay your ink pad over top of the ribbon, you want to kind of center it and not be too far off to the edge. So I've grabbed a hold of the edge of my ribbon here and I'm going to put the ink face down on it. Now I'm a lefty. If you're a righty, you're going to pull it in a different direction. But all I'm going to do is just slowly pull that ribbon through. I am putting pressure on the ink pad so that the ink transfers. But you can see that my ribbon is turning the beautiful broken china blue. It also dries fairly quickly. So it's a great result. Now, if you wanted to, you could flip it over and run it through again if you wanted a more vibrant ink. In most cases, I'm happy with the lighter color. Again, it's going to give you that feel of match, even though it's not maybe as dark as what you've used on the project. So that's how I achieved the ribbon here. Again, this was sorry, I just moved my camera out of focus here. This was a white ribbon that I used the antique linen ink pad with, and it worked very, very well. So that's how I decorated my front cover. Easy peasy. Again, mostly used the podge to attach everything. These little pearls, I used a little angel craft tape instead because I thought that would hold a little better. But the flowers, the baby, the doily, all attached with the podge. Again, you want to be careful and not drip too much of that while doing that. Now, some of my interior pages, I decorated a few so that you could see what they look like, what I had in mind. You'll see my embellishments here are popping off the page literally. They're not fully attached yet. Little Scarlet Claire isn't born yet. She's about 6 weeks away. When I put together these albums, I like to have the photos and to plan my pages around a photo as opposed to making sort of a pre-made scrapbook and then you've got to make the photos fit in. So I've just used removable double-sided tape to attach these. So please forgive it, the popping and that sort of thing. I would podge them into place. What I thought would be kind of cool on these pages was to use the Marianne Designs. They have these beautiful eyelet edged shapes that I thought would be very nice to add shapes to break up a little bit the floral pattern here. It's kind of busy, and my concern was if I just laid a photo on that page, it might not stand out well. So these I think will break things up. There's a square shape, a round shape, a rectangle, and finally an oval. So there's some variety that can be had here. In the center of each of them, there's a lot of fun flowers. Again, different shapes of those. You'll find yourself reaching for those periodically too because they're just great dies to work with. So my first page, I envisioned having the basic information about the baby along with a little photo up top. On the back, I've got the little oval shape with one of the fun little tag shapes from the chipboard elements that go with the Precious Memories collection. There's also a number of pieces or little elements and journaling cards in the paper packs themselves that you can cut and use for this purpose. I love the Twinkle Twinkle Little Star, again with some little star-shaped rhinestones. This is my square doily shape. I've just turned it on its side to add a little interest to this page, but obviously you could use it as a square as well. And on the back, I've used the circle with one of the little journaling tags that comes with the Precious Memories collection. So as you can see, the decoration is no problem. You've got many, many things between the paper pad and what you have in your stash. I know I do to get this thing off the ground. I just want some baby photos. Again, I'm not one who does quite so well with pre-decorating the pages and then just living with the consequences. So my project today, the superstars that really made it what it was, the graphic 45 paper, the Precious Memories collection. Again, this beautiful floral pattern is called Baby's Breath. Just love it. I also have dies from Marianne Designs, the Creatables line, as well as the Craftables line that helped me to add some decoration to the album inside and out. And then finally, last but by no means least, the Angel Craft Podge, the thing that pulled the project all together and made it so super, super easy. This is a great product. I really highly recommend it to you, even if you're not a Podge person. Thanks for watching. Bye.